Seika realized there must have been an inside man. The professor is surprised, thinking he had gotten rid of any evidence. Seika tells him to reveal his true form, but he is actually just a human working for the demons. Looking at his ritual, Seika calls him a genius. Cordell is proud of himself, revealing it's a curse that uses light magic to kill its target from a distance under the guise of an illness. He starts gloating about how he will kill Alma with it, but Seika points out how he is protecting her. The curse is targeting those who were covered in demon blood, because Alma had killed all the demons, but Seika summons the demon that he captured, and covers himself with its blood. He becomes a target of the curse, but using a counter-curse technique from his past life, he is able to send the curse back to the professor. The professor feels the effects, and starts bleeding out. Seika is actually impressed he developed a curse from scratch in this world, but as an exorcist, curses are his specialty. After the encounter, Yuki wonders how he knew the professor was the culprit, and it turns out that his Shikigami found pollen on him, which was only from flowers near the magic circle. Having solved this problem, he hopes he can finally get back to being a normal student. He gives Aoife the magic ring, which helps her with attracting the elemental spirits. He tries being friendly with Amu, but to his surprise, she still acts coldly towards him, but has somehow warmed up toward Aoife, and he is left confused about when they became friends. 1 year has passed, and things have been peaceful. The students are having another feast. Alma thanks Aoife for helping her with her studies over the year, and she is glad she gets to enjoy the food, since the demons interrupted last time. Seika watches over the school using his talismans just in case, but he suddenly gets approached by the vice principal. He gets told that he and Aoife need to see the principal. Amu jokes about him getting expelled, and Seika feels something is off. Aoife wonders what the principal is like, because the vice principal was the one running the school. As they enter the office, they find a small dwarf woman. She comments on how she thought he would be more cocky, and Seika is surprised a demi-human is the one running the academy. The principal is surprised by such a comment, causing her to remember a certain person. Seika wonders if she knows her father, but she was thinking about his uncle, who we found out was Seika's real father. The principal gets to the point, and tells him that she wants him to enter the capital's sword fighting tournament. She calls in another student named Mabel, and tells them that their academy has been given 2 entries for the tournament. One will be for Mabel, and the other will either be for him or Aoife. Amu is shocked to hear the news, wondering why she wasn't asked. She wonders why they are participating in a sword fighting tournament, but Aoife tells her they changed the rules to allow magic this year. Amu still can't believe that she wasn't chosen, despite her skill with both magic and swordsmanship. Apparently, the principal just felt Seika was the right one for the job. Seika suggests that didn't want to put up anyone too strong, worrying about people trying to poach their students. In that case, Amu wonders why he was chosen, but Seika just calls himself average, although Amu can hear his BS. The 3 start talking about Mabel, and Amu suggests that she must be a noble, which got her spot thanks to her connections. As she is trash-talking, Mabel suddenly appears, suggesting that the reason why she wasn't chosen was simply because she is too weak. This gets Amu fired up. She borrows some practice swords from some students nearby, and challenges Mabel to a fight. As they prepare, Seika can see that Mabel is confident with the sword, and Aoife wonders if they should stop them. But Seika is interested to see how good Mabel is. The fight starts, as Amu rushes at Mabel. Her attack gets blocked, and Mabel goes on the offensive. Amu gets overpowered in an instant, and the fight is over. Mabel makes fun of her, calling her the hero, but Amu calls her out for using magic. Mabel tells her she is weak because she expects second chances, and she also warns Seika to withdraw from the tournament if he doesn't want to get hurt, saying it will be brutal. Seika thanks her for the warning, and she leaves. Aoife checks up on Amu, who seems to have suddenly made up her mind. Soon after, they're on a carriage headed to the capital, but Seika is confused about why Aoife and Amu are tagging along. Aoife says that she is coming as his servant, leaving Amu, who seems to have just snuck along. She says she has always wanted to visit the capital, but Seika can tell she just wants to see the tournament and see how Mabel fights. He wonders where she plans on staying, and she says she will be crashing with Aoife. Seika starts feeling sick from the carriage ride, and Mabel calls him weak. Amu tells her to respect her elders, but Mabel reveals she is actually the same age as them, even though she enrolled a year later. Aoife also reveals that she enrolled 1 year late, so she is actually a year older, and Amu makes sense of why she is so much more developed. Mabel is disappointed at the academy, saying that everyone acts like children, including Seika, but Seika points out that's because they are still children. They finally arrive in the capital, and Seika is sick from the ride. Mabel has already left, and Aoife suggests that he should go to the inn to rest, but Seika insists on going to the arena to check out the tournament bracket. He finds that if they both win, he will face Mabel in the semifinals. After checking out the bracket, Seika decides to go and rest at the inn. Aoife wants to accompany him, but he tells her to go explore the city. Amu suggests that he needs his special alone time, but he tells her not to be weird. After they leave, Seika prepares to find out why the principal insisted on choosing him for the tournament. The day of the tournament arrives, and the announcer talks about how the rules were changed to allow magic, and around half the participants are mages. The participants have a special amulet that absorbs damage for the fighters, but if it breaks, the match is over. Seika sees this as a way the tournament is trying to prevent casualties. Seika is introduced in the first match, and his opponent is an ex-noble mercenary nicknamed the Godspeed Bulldog. He is a pure swordsman, known for his impressive speed. He was expelled from his family for his bad behavior, so he considers himself lucky to have Seika as his opponent, since he has a grudge against nobles. The crowd gets excited to see how a fight between a mage and a swordsman will go, but the man looks down on mages, saying their spell take too long to cast. Seika mentions how he is still feeling unwell. The man thinks he is trying to make excuses, but Seika just means he plans to end things quickly. This angers the man, and the fight begins. And he instantly stabs Seika, but using his talisman, Seika gets behind him. He uses another spell, and instantly blows the man out of the ring. The fight is over, and Seika is declared the winner. The girls cheer for him, and the crowd is left wondering how things ended in a blink of an eye, while Seika thinks he might need to hold back a bit more in the future. When he is alone, Yuki appears, wondering how far he intends to go in the tournament, and warning against standing out too much. She also worries that he is using up a lot of his talismans, but he says it's a necessity, as he keeps watch over the two girls. As he joins the other two in the stands, the next round begins. We meet Burin, the prime disciple of a sage that is famous with using water magic, and his opponent Kyle, a guard for the Leg Rock merchants. Looking at his appearance, the crowd wonders how he will fight. When the match begins, as Burin prepares himself, he suddenly notices Kyle's glare. Seika realizes something is off and tries to get a better view. Kyle slowly approaches, as Burin stands completely frozen. Seika sees the fear in Burin's face, and Kyle just walks up and stabs him. Blood goes everywhere, and the crowd is shocked and confused. But despite the casualty, they all cheer for the spectacle, except for the trio. Seika gets a closer look at Kyle, and sees that he wields an evil eye, which gives him the ability to hex people with a single glance. Seika comes out for his second round, and his opponent is an enormous golem. It's enchanted with magical defenses, and its master gloats that it was specifically designed to fight against mages. She tells Seika he has no chance, and should just concede. But as the fight begins, Seika quickly summons one of his demons, which slashes right through the golem and disappears. For the spectators, it looked like Seika just used wind magic, and the woman is confused at what happened. Seika returns the favor, telling her she should concede, and he is declared the winner. After the match, Seika says it was a close one, but this is confusing to Yuki. Seika explains that summoners are banned, so if they noticed he summoned a demon, he would have been disqualified. As Seika returns to the stands, Aoife is worried for him. After seeing Kyle kill his opponent, she thinks Seika should just withdraw from the tournament. Seika assures her that he will be fine, and Amu comments on how quickly his fight ended, saying it's no fun to watch his fights. She wonders if he will join the Imperial Guard if he wins the tournament, but Seika says he intends to turn it down. Amu is relieved to hear this, although she tries not to show it. Seika says he isn't guaranteed to win, but Amu can't imagine him losing, while Aoife is still worried. The next match of round 2 begins, and it's Mabel's turn to fight. Her opponent is Haro, a highly skilled earth mage. When the fight begins, Haru attacks using his rock blast, but Mabel slices right through it. Haru is surprised and continuously fires his rock blast, but Mabel is able to stop them all. Haru backs away and starts chanting to use his advanced magic. He summons a wall to protect himself, but Mabel throws knives and destroys the wall. Haru creates multiple walls, but Mabel knocks them down using her daggers. Amu wonders how she is doing it, and Seika thinks she must be using gravity magic to make her weapons heavier than the stones. She keeps destroying the walls, and Haru tries to counterattack, but Mabel charges at him and destroys his staff. Haru admits his defeat, and Mabel is declared the winner. The announcer calls Mabel the unstoppable hero, and Seika wonders why she is being called the hero. Amu tells him that Mabel was the name of the second hero, and she even uses the same weapon, but Seika comes to a realization. That night, we see a man sending off a carrier pigeon, but it gets intercepted, and Seika appears. He accuses the man of working for the devils, but the man pretends not to know what he is talking about. As he walks past, he tries to attack Seika, but he gets restrained by Seika's vines. Seika reveals he saw him talking with an information dealer, using one of his shikigami. Seika asks him about the message he was sending, but the man refuses, saying he will never talk, even if he was tortured. Seika summons one of his demons, Satori, and as the man looks at it, Satori is able to read the man's mind. Seika asks him questions, and we find out he is working for the devils. Seika guesses he is after the hero, and the man is surprised, because it should be a secret. Seika asks for the name of the hero he is after, and it turns out to be Mabel. Seika wonders why he thinks she is the hero, and it's because she matches the description given by their spy. But since Seika took out Cordell, they can no longer confirm. After learning all of this, he releases the man from his vines, but tells Satori he can eat him as a reward. The man is horrified, and gets devoured by the monster. Satori remarks that it had to be done, saying it's too dangerous to let him go, but he was actually reading Seika's mind, and Seika threatens him for doing so. Satori gets scared, and Seika opens his gate to send him back. Yuki appears, and Seika apologizes for scaring her. He calls over his raven, and checks the message from the pigeon, but it turns out to be encrypted, and he wishes he kept the guy alive. Seika works out the Academy's plan. It was to send Mabel to win and draw all the attention as the false hero, so the devils can stop targeting Amu. Yuki is curious about Mabel's identity, and Seika suggests she must be using a fake name, although he doesn't care to investigate her further, since she is there to protect Amu. The next day, Kyle took out his opponent in the same way, thanks to his evil eye, and a boy named Reynas, who can use all 4 elements, also advances. Seika runs into Reynas, and he tells him he will see him in the finals. Everyone has been talking about him since he can use all 4 elements, and his opponent in the next round has already withdrawn. Seika goes up against a necromancer in the 3rd round, but defeats him with ease, and Mabel easily wins as well. After her fight, Mabel confronts Seika, telling him he should withdraw before their fight in the semifinals, but Seika refuses. She acknowledges his strength and warns him that she will have to go all out against him, but she doesn't want to end up killing him. But Seika still refuses to withdraw. There is a sudden announcement that Kyle's next opponent has withdrawn, so they decide to move up the semi-final match between Reynas and Kyle. As the fight begins, Reynas buffs himself with light magic to protect against the evil eye. Amu is surprised he can use light magic on top of the 4 elements. Reynas starts to gloat since he is immune to the evil eye, but Kyle slowly advances. Reynas shoots his fireball, but it seems to have no effect. He keeps attacking, using all his different elements, but Kyle is unfazed by the attack.